engineers speak a different language, and like they call accounting the language of business, right? And so I know how to speak accounting language, and I know how to speak more of the technical language. So it makes a good marriage. And
So how was your experience during the transition from public to private at that time when you're working as a senior auditor at ISM and then you become a senior auditor at Target?
so kind of tie back to some, maybe tie back to a couple things that we talked about at the beginning of interview. Was one, it was the first time in my career where I had various opportunities on the table. When I say various opportunities, I was being recruited by a number of different companies, and it was the first time I had the chance to choose where I wanted to go work, versus me just accepting whatever job is offered to me, right? And so that part felt good because it showed me that I was doing something right within my career so far. I have developed myself professionally to be marketable, and sought after as a talent, and so that part was new to me. It was an experience, and I appreciated it. I got a chance to engage with a couple different companies, and then ultimately I did choose Target. How public accounting helped me with that transition, I would say it was pretty seamless, because most people that I ended up working with, they had a public accounting background as well too, so they understand. Honestly, it was like my transition. I felt very relieved. I transitioned from public, or when I say relieved, I was working less. The hours were different. When I worked at RSM, I lived in New Jersey, and I worked in the New York City office. I used to, you got to think about commuting time, going to clients, and things like that. Whereas when I transitioned to Target, I went into the office. The hours were really standard 9 to 5 type thing. And when I say, and I moved to another state, and it was my first time living outside of New Jersey. So I moved somewhere, did not know anybody. It was the Midwest in Minnesota. Didn't know not one person. New company, but I leveraged my public accounting and networking to help make it feel like at home. But the difference was like the hours, and the culture was different as well too. Target was very people oriented, employee oriented. It's an exciting time, and so for me, transitioning was very easy. But I felt also bored because I got so much time back from what I was used to. Like I used to get up at 7 and get home at 7 p.m. working in public accounting, or sometimes later because of commutes and things like that. Whereas when I worked at Target, I literally lived within like 10-15 minute walking distance to the office. And when I say everyone leaves at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, like everyone leaves. And so like the hours was much less. The work, work is work. I think it was, we could kind of get into a little bit of that, but in terms of transitioning, I would say it was just one of those other times in my life. It's like, all right, what do I do now? I got so much free time. I'm in a new place and having new experiences, meeting new people, but I appreciated that experience as well.
You were the senior auditor at ISM, and then you transited to senior auditor at Target. Can you describe what the difference between these two jobs, even in the same title?
Yeah, same titles, but and the scope of work was similar. But like at RSM, I was external, so you work with external facing, and so I worked with external clients. Whereas at Target, I was internal facing, and so instead of auditing clients and their financial records, I was more so on the internal side, right? And so I was help preparing our teams and making sure they had proper processes in place before our external auditors come in and write all these deficiencies and things like that. And so for me, it was actually really exciting because you get to learn from an external audit focus, you're only more so looking at the financial records and the financial statement audit. Whereas when I was internal facing, I got a chance to learn more about different parts of the business, more from an operational standpoint. So it allowed me to be a little bit more expert level of the business operations and really be a supporter and like trusted advisor to say, hey, here's some things we can do better from a operational standpoint. And so I wasn't focused on a financial, and when I came internally, I was more focused on internal controls and operations, whereas when I was in public accounting, it's more like financial controls, SOX, and things like that, and financial statement focus. So same title, but total different experiences. Like when I worked internal at Target, like I got a chance to go see, our fulfillment centers, or got to go see the food distribution centers. And so I'm seeing more of the operational side, how, items get from from a farm to a food distribution center, from a food distribution center to the stores, from the stores to a customer's house, right? And you see that whole life cycle, you get a much deeper appreciation for the business. Whereas when I was external facing, I come in for a few months, audit your financial records and leave, and now really get to deep dive into understand the full end to end of how your business works. And so it just shows you the different paths you can do, right, as an auditor. And that's just one role within the accounting profession. So I did enjoy that a lot.
So you enjoy that job, but you still feel like something missing. So that's why you just worked in Target for only 2 years. So what did you feel like missing during those 2 years?
Yeah, and I think this is probably just a theme within my career so far. It's like I'm always like I'm always thinking bigger, right? How can, as we continue to grow within a profession, like as I grow in a profession, how can I also grow just from a knowledge standpoint and experience as well too? So, working in understanding the retail functions, and that was really cool. But then I just had a passion for like technology, automations, things like that. And so I wanted to get in, migrate over to a company that was more prioritized and bigger focus within that industry. And so that's why I kind of migrated from Target to Amazon. Not that Target was a bad place or anything. It was actually a phenomenal time there. But I'm always thinking about how can I grow as a professional? How can I, what interests me, right? Actually, that's the other thing that when I talk to a lot of students and just professionals today, it's like, hey, like your interests are always changing. Like I might be interested in something today, 2 years later, it might be totally different. And like, early on, I was like, hey, yeah, I want to be a CFO, but like, all right, that can change along the way, right? I'm always, trying these different avenues. And, before I said, hey, I don't want to do public accounting, but you just never know. Your interests are always changing. And how do I get that exposure and align myself with the right opportunity that can help me get to that next step and get me that experience that I want? I decided to migrate. Target was more, just more retail, brick and mortar focus and customer experience going into the store, whereas when I transitioned over to Amazon, Amazon is just a beast in itself in terms of just various different business lines. It's not just an online business as what most people used to look at it as. You're talking about digital, you're talking about what else? Digital, you're talking about Alexa devices, you're talking about just all these different things that they do, books, it's just Twitch, like all these streaming platforms. It's just a lot more to the business other than just, getting packages to a customer. And so I just wanted to get more into that side of the business. I just see like just overall, from an economy perspective, that's just the future. Technology is the future. And so I wanted to, work at a place that, was a leader within that. And so that's why I kind of made that transition.
So when you transit from Target to Amazon, you transit to something brand new. So did you have to learn everything from beginning? Because it's technology and then you...
Yeah, so like when I left Target, I was doing internal audit, more on the operational side, and then I still stayed in the accounting function coming to Amazon, but actually this time I was on a SOX compliance side, so I was still internal controls, but I wasn't actually auditing. I was more so helping teams put controls in place. So when our external auditors come in and do their test work, and so I got a chance to touch all different parts of the business from a consulting controls perspective. So it wasn't like these are things that are more foundational to our profession in accounting. So I did not do it day to day at Target. I did, I had public accounting experience where I was the person testing the controls from an external standpoint. Now I'm on the internal side. So all my experiences over time help come together to make me a good candidate coming into that role when I started at Amazon. And so and also like you learn on a job too, right? You having a foundational knowledge and being a CPA, you have the exposure and experience, and there's always going to be learning curves. And so it did take some learning new systems and things like that. But it was kind of like my foot into the door to Amazon, and then from there I've been able to kind of pivot and do a couple other cool things.
So I'm just wondering what skill set that you feel like the most valuable in private that will set you the foundation and set you for the succeed?
Just like understanding how accounting teams work, or understanding how the business run. I think those are two things, like even that I took from public accounting. I understand the financial components of it. Even my very first job where I did back office accounting work, when I did booking of journal entries, all of those things kind of played together to help me get to this point. So I understand how, like, I haven't done any journal entry accounting work, back office accounting work since the beginning of my career. I don't want to do that type of work anymore, but I need to understand it, right? And that's what helped me, that's kind of like the foundation, assets and debits and credits and things like that. And so that's, help that foundational knowledge of like, how does an accounting practice run? How does an accounting business run? All right, what needs to be in place from a financial record standpoint or internal control standpoint. And that helps you get that well-rounded knowledge of how does an accounting function operate day to day. And so with that knowledge throughout my career, it helped me be that trusted advisor. So when I do advise teams to controls and things like that, it makes me much more credible as well.
Wow. I love that. That's a solid answer.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, like, to add on to that, because I started now, like I'm continuing, like a role that I kind of transitioned into recently, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but it's I'm in a new role now where I always knew I was curious about automation. Being just like automating things. Like actually when I was leaving Target, I did a pilot program at Target to build automations, like help like automate some of the audits that we were doing, more simplified, very simple tasks, but like how it saves time. And so during that time I was teaching myself it was like early in the pandemic, I was teaching myself how to code as well too. I don't want to be an engineer at all, but I just like to understand how the technology works on the background, how the technology we work, utilize within our companies or that we're recommending to our clients and things like that. And so I always had a passion for automation. And so now I'm still in a finance organization, but I don't do any I I don't work in Excels. I don't do bookkeeping, journal entries, things like that. I do, I'm more of an advisor of like helping. I know how accounting practices operate. I know how to help simplify it. And then, all right, how can we automate that, right? And, there are pain points where doing things manually because I had those experiences. I've been in that position before. And so as we do things manually, how can we automate that? And so now I couple that with my curiosity for automation techniques, and like I said, I expose myself to it, and so now I can work with the tech teams to say, hey, these are the pain points that accounting has. How can we automate it? How can we simplify this to make it more seamless and streamlined? And then obviously, like I said, teaching myself a little bit of coding. I know how to engineer, speak a different language, and like they call accounting the language of business, right? And so I know how to speak accounting language, and I know how to speak more of the technical language. So it makes a good marriage, and it makes me a good advisor to be trusted between the two. And I utilize my controls experience as well too, because as you automate things, there has to be proper controls in place for financial reporting. And so like all my experiences from previous roles kind of come into play, but I'm in a role that, like, if I tell people, yeah, I help finance team, I'm accountant, I'm a CPA, but I do automation. It's like, you don't do taxes or anything? It's like, nah, I just help people automate stuff. So I don't do the day-to-day accounting work that our teams do, but I support them, and I truly enjoy that role.
Yeah, your experience is just really interesting because you have a mix of little bit everything from to understand the business, from accounting, and understand about how it's worked, and understand about how you audit it, and then now you understand about the engineer language, about technology for the business as well. So I feel like you understand the full house right now, from the foundation to the body of the house, the roof of the house. That's really strong support for your career.
Yeah, I agree, and it also it ties back to my personal interest, right? If I didn't have an interest in doing it, maybe this wouldn't be the path that I went down. Maybe I would be doing something else. But I try to align my passion and my interests along with my day-to-day jobs as well too.
Yeah, talking about your passion, you not just only working full-time at Amazon, you also teaching as well as an introduction to accounting, right?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about your experience as a professor?
Yeah, and this kind of ties into, like, for me, accounting isn't just my day-to-day job. It is something that I'm truly passionate about, and I'm passionate about getting other people that exposure. As I told you about my early career struggles, right? I didn't have opportunities coming out of college. I didn't even know the roles that exist in accounting. I didn't, had the CPA struggles. And for me, it's the opportunity to give back to the profession, but I also want to help students that's going through early in their career see people that look like them within a profession, or even see people that are like not their age, but like younger in the profession, and because we're the future of the profession, right? And so the opportunity to be there to educate them on the very foundational knowledge of accounting. I'm not there just educating them, but I'm also being that mentor to them, and getting them interested, trying to find ways to make accounting engaging and fun, and also share my story too, right? This it gives them motivation, and like, hey, I can be that person, I can be that professor, I can be that teacher, I can work at Amazon, I can work at these big places. That person, I work at a local university here in New Jersey, and so the students that I'm engaging with are from the neighborhoods where I lived in as well too. I went to college in New Jersey, and so like to see someone who did it, I know that would help me. That would have helped me early in my career if I, see people who did it that look like me, or that's close in age as well too. A lot of times there are like significant age gaps, and so most of the time when I walk into the class the first day, most of the students think I'm a student as well too until I'm at the podium. So it's just it gives them it gives someone that they can engage with differently from a professor standpoint. But I'm also able to educate them not from just the book accounting language, but how do you practically utilize it in a day-to-day roles and things like that too. So I've enjoyed it. I've done it 2 years now. It goes by fast. I have a lot of tremendous feedback from the students, and I'm always looking for ways to improve and continue to make accounting engaging. So I'm glad, like a platform like this, I would love to share it with them and say, hey, like here's some content about becoming a CPA career path and things like that. And so that's really what I'm in it for, to give back. I'm not an educator by trade. I didn't go to school to be a teacher or anything, but I do know enough about accounting that I can present it to students in an engaging way.
So I'm just curious, do you teach students in a different way compared with other people?
I try to. I try to utilize real life examples, especially I like to utilize current companies' financial records, right? I know I did a session before one of my classes when we talk about like balance sheets and income statements, and then we talk about revenue, expenses, assets. Like I'll have them pull up like Apple, for example. I'll have them pull up Apple's 10K, and we'll look at the financials. And so everyone, might have a iPhone or MacBook or something like that, and so it's like you see where your purchases, how it impacts their financial records and things like that. And so it's just a different engaging way. I worked with some high school students a couple weeks ago, and we played like it's a game called Kahoot, where it's like it's more like a quiz type game, but it's fun and engaging. It's accounting questions, and it's competitive too. So I've been trying my best. Is but so much you can kind of invent and play around with. Trying to teach, intro to accounting, some of the foundational things. You just kind of got to learn that. But overall, I've tried a little bit different and making it a little bit more engaging as well.
Do you have any students that you have a very interesting conversation to persuade them to be accountant? Because the class is introduction to accounting. It means they may or may not in accounting major, right?
Yeah, and that's normally what I deal with. Most of my students, like majority of them, don't be accounting majors. You have about maybe like 25% of them that are actual accounting majors, but most people have to, as a prerequisite for all business courses. And so I've had students come back that are like junior, senior, or graduating, and they kind of tell me like, hey, like I really want to be a CPA, and help them out and mentor them. And so that has been like, if I look at it as like if I could change one student to want to become a CPA, like I feel like my job is done. And so it's very heartwarming to see, hey, like they really want to become CPAs, connecting with different firms and seeing them get grow within their early careers as well too. So those have been the joyous moments. I can't change all students, but if I could change a few here and there, I think our profession will be on a good path.
Wow, that's great, because some students actually come back to you and ask you to guide them to be a CPA. I think those are successful stories that you are doing right now as being a professor. Nice job, nice job. Yeah. So besides being a full-time job, working at Amazon, and then teaching a class as a professor, now you also have your own CPA firm, right?
Yeah, I do.
How can you find time?
Yeah, it's just some of those things, right? When you think about like what can you do with the CPA license, and you can work full time, doing some cool things at cool companies. You can teach, and then you can do your own. You can build your own company, and you can be your own advisor to people. And for me, I like just from a practice standpoint, I always see like, hey, like most people get their taxes done by preparers who don't look. For me, I really got into it to help small minority businesses, especially like during the pandemic, where there's a lot of change happening. Right, people are losing jobs, or people don't want to go to work anymore. People starting their own companies. Right, everybody able to work from home and things like that. And so a lot of entrepreneurs, and so. I was just looking at just my CPA license, and I was just like, how can I truly leverage this to give back? And so it's just one of those other opportunities where it's like, hey, like I can start my own firm. I can do do people taxes, or support their business from being a trusted advisor. But really, why I got into it is to help educate people. That's really what I come back to. It's like, how can I educate people to understand their finances better, or understand accounting better, and really appreciate why accounting is important. And so I got into it to just support and educate people. So when I do people taxes, I'm not just doing a tax return and let you just go on. I want to really break down the numbers, help you understand why you might get a refund, or why you may owe money, like, and what can you do to change that going forward, and things like that. And so and same thing with like small businesses too, like just giving them that support. And it's always great when you can support people who look like you. I think it makes that relationship a lot better as well too. And it's a level of trust that you don't get really that often. And so I decided to do that. It's side gig, so balancing time is very hard, but I truly appreciate it, and I appreciate the people I'm able to support, and I'm pretty sure they appreciate me as well too, being that trusted advisor. But for me, it's just, how can I continue to leverage this CPA designation, and myself just being here. We talk about 3 different career paths, right? And there's a plethora of other things I'm pretty sure I can do, but I'm only one person. So that's the joyous part of it.
Hang on. Pause for a second. I remember that you never worked as a tax preparer. And now you start a firm preparing tax.
Yeah, and it's so funny, right? Like, I as I mentioned, I didn't do taxes professionally, but I know the knowledge, right? I had to do reg and a CPA license, the exams, and so like reg was easy to me. That I'm not gonna say that what encouraged me to do taxes, but I understand the foundational knowledge, and then also you're always educating yourself, and so it's an opportunity where I can educate myself more too, right, about taxes, and learning different tax codes. I'm not going to say I'm by no means the expert level. I don't work in it day to day, day in and day out, but I do know enough where I can support people and help educate them, and ultimately it's helping me grow too, because I'm learning more day to day. I'm hearing new things that come out. It's like, all right, how can I advise my clients differently as well too? So yeah, and didn't have a tax background, but I do understand, like, once you in this profession and once you're a CPA, if you have the foundational knowledge, and I think that's what the exams help kind of bring out as well too, you can take those skills and be transferable no matter the career path you decide to go down within accounting.
That's impressive. Because even for people who work in tax day in and day out, a lot of them still do not feel confident to start a tax firm. So that's very impressive for me.
Yeah, it's not easy, but like I said, once you get into it, you just feel motivated, and you continue to push yourself, and you just learn. It's just I guess I'm a lifetime learner. I'm always looking for a new challenge, and so this is just one of those things that's on my list to do, and I'm appreciating the joy. I've never been an entrepreneur type of person, but I do appreciate it as well too. And it's just like, for me, it's the opportunity to give back, and that's the most important part.
So, with everything you are doing right now, I'm just curious, what is a typical day for you like, from the time you get up to the time you go to bed?
A typical day for me, I wake up. I'm not really a big breakfast person, to be honest. I'm a snacker, so I'll eat like a muffin or a donut, like really something really small, simple. Uh, but I wake up like normal people. I'm on a computer. So I'm on a computer a lot during the day. Obviously on a computer for uh, my day job, and then after work, I'm always on a computer. Whether it's just looking for ways to study new things, learn new things, or just exploring the web and trying to figure out other passions, or working with client work as well too. So I'm always working, but it's work that I enjoy. So I don't feel like it's work per se. It's like it's things that I'm passionate about and interested in doing. And then when I'm not doing that, I like to go to the gym. Work out, go running, play flag football as well too on the weekends and with my friends. And so um, I would say it's a lot of those things, or I'm traveling too. I like to travel, and so I bring my computer with me when I'm travel too. I do shut off, I still shut my brain off from days, a couple days, but hang out with friends. So I maximize my time. Probably the worst thing is I probably don't sleep as much as I probably should, but I'm maximizing my time in a day to do all the things that I'm truly passionate about, and I do a good job of managing my calendar. And so when I'm not inside, I'm hanging out with friends, or playing sports and trying restaurants and things like that.
So how many hours do you normally sleep?
Oh man, good question. It's so weird because it's a pandemic. Like you could roll over and be on your computer at work, right? And now, so like it's slightly changing. I feel like I slept. I'm probably, I don't know. For me, I don't know. I've always been a late person. So like all I need is a good 5 or 6 hours, and I can get running. Like I don't need 8 hours. So for me, good 5 or 6 hours a day or a week. I mean, not a week. Sorry, that would be crazy. Not a week.
Oh,
A night. Sorry.
wow.
No. I wouldn't be able to function if I only slept 6 hours a week. But no. So yeah, I try to balance my time a lot, but I do stay up and do things. Listen to podcasts too. That's a big thing I do.
Well, you know what? Good thing is that you're not a woman. You don't have to worry about long hair. You don't have to worry about doing makeup, or mask, facial mask, buying dress. So you save a lot of time for those little things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any pets?
No pets. I would love a dog. At some point, I will get a pet. I think I do too much. I travel a lot too, so I want to be able to make sure be able to sit still and enjoy the time with the pet that I do decide to get. But I'm very eager to get a dog at some point. Once I find some time to just chill out.
Nice. A pet will help you relax a lot. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was afraid of dogs before. Like whenever I see a dog, I will cross street and go on the other side of the street and walk because I was so afraid of the dog. And then now I have a big dog. She's like 70, 80 pounds. She's like stronger than me. She's a mix of lab and husky, so she talks a lot. And she has a lot of energy, just like how I have energy. So yeah, but that's amazing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't wait to get a dog. I'm definitely interested in one, having a pet, so I can't wait.
Yes. So a lot of young staff come to me and ask me that, Rosie, if you have a chance to interview anyone in the future, ask them if they are happy with where they are right now at this stage, or if there's anything they want to change. What could be one thing they want to change?
Yeah. So I guess to answer the question, yes, I'm happy. And I'll say the reason why I'm happy is I've been able to carve out my own career path, and so all the things that I've been doing aligns with what I'm interested in doing. Right, it's me raising my hand, whether it's volunteering or whether it's taking on different opportunities, and so I've been able to get the exposure and get the experience that I want. I'm not, following someone else's career journey or career path that's laid out for me. I'm truly embracing building, carving out my own path. So happiness for sure. If there was one thing I can change, I would say, just like I wish I could do more. To be honest, if I had more time, or if I had like a body double or something, I can be at multiple places at once. Like there's so many other things, like even just outside of work, that I'm just truly interested in doing. Whether it's investments and content and things like that. Like there's so many other things, and that's on my roadmap, and I'm starting to pick up a little bit of those as I go along. But I would say if I could just have more time to just continue doing all the other things I want to accomplish in a short time.
You are very ambitious.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You can also you have done a lot as well. That's amazing about everything about what you are doing right now. And then you have a great background. Based on all your experience you have in your career, what advice or what tips you could give to young CPAs or young accountants?
My biggest advice, embrace the journey. That's something I say a lot, and I probably write a lot too in a lot of things I do. Just embrace the journey. Like everyone's career path is totally different. Everyone's path to becoming a CPA is different, but enjoy it. You're gonna learn a lot about yourself, and just be flexible, right? As you go through your career, you might have an interest early on in your career that you think is best for you. You might get that experience and like, I don't really like this. Don't be afraid to pivot. And that's the joy that this profession brings you. There's so many different career paths of being a CPA. There's so many different things you can do, things that you don't know even exist today. And don't be afraid to carve out your own path. If you find if there's an opportunity that this profession or that your CPA license can be leveraged, and don't be afraid to create that role for you, for yourself. And so I would say for me, biggest advice, embrace the journey, have fun, and just continue to live.
Continue to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, accountants, we are human too. We're not just a machine or just a calculator, just make the numbers only. So I forgot to mention one thing, that at the very beginning you mentioned about AICPA or state society. And so I noticed that you also do a lot of volunteer work as well on the top of all your busy work.
Yeah.
So could you share a little bit of your experience about your volunteer work?
Yeah, volunteering. I want to say it's the biggest thing that has helped me within my career, especially with the various organizations, AICPA being a big one. It has allowed me to network and meet people like yourself, right? We're just at Engage, and so me being able to be a volunteer there with one of the planning committees for the conference, it just gives you that greater appreciation for the profession, but also give you that opportunity to continue to build a network, to build a family, to meet people that you can lean on that have similar experiences to you. So for me, I'm truly always grateful for this profession and choosing this path. And any way I can continue to make this profession better and give back, I'm always going to raise my hand and do so. And meet other people like yourself that does the same thing. It's always it makes when I was that high school student, didn't know what I wanted to do, and I got stuck in accounting. It makes that decision, or continue to do it throughout undergrad, it makes that decision all worth it, to see the results and to see the impact that we're able to have. Even we're still early within our careers too, right? We're still pretty young, and so we're able to accomplish a lot and succeed at a lot of different things. And to see where we can take this, that opportunity to give back to the profession is truly invaluable.
Yes, because of volunteer work, because of AICPA, that's how I met you, and that's how we had this interview.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm grateful for it. Like I said, this was for sure a good time, and I'm grateful that we both were involved in AICPA or different initiatives in different ways, and we were able to cross paths.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for the interview today. I love so much all the stories that you shared during the interview.
Thank you, Rosie.